A suspect speaks out after being arrested on suspicion of robbing a man in Waikiki.
This is the KHON2 News at 10 with Marisa Yamane.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. There's two sides to every story. A man says he was jumped by 7 guys while walking down the street in Waikiki. He says they not only beat him up, but also stole his money. But the suspects say that's not what happened. This is video given to us by one of the suspects. They say it was a one-on-one fight and that they weren't there to rob him.
He got a beating, a good old-fashioned lickings, one-on-one fight, lickings. That's all I can say.
According to the police report, the victim was assaulted by several men during the course of a theft. 7 men, all in their early 20s, are listed as suspects, and all were arrested on suspicion of robbery.
All of the police officers patted us down, and they didn't find $1.
The incident happened in Waikiki on Saturday around 4:30 in the morning. The victim, Adrian Dady, says he was walking down Kuhio Avenue near Kalaimoku Street when a truck pulled up next to him.
They had their windows down and they were yelling obscenities at me. Then they turned the corner and they got out of the truck. They stopped the truck and then all got out, 7, and then I realized I was in trouble. Adrian says he was kicked in the head and beaten up, and he says they stole $70 from him. People had come out, they were yelling for them to stop, leave me alone, and then pretty much they took off running.
You could see in the video clearly that he's coming after my friend. And my friend's just backing up and defending himself. That's all it was.
Police found the truck and suspects on Wilder Avenue in Makiki.
We wanted to, let everybody know that everybody from Kaava that was involved with it, we all come from good families. Wasn't raised that way to, beat up on one person to take his money. I just never would have thought something like this would happen in Waikiki. And I've been here for 3 years, and most of my time has been in Waikiki. There's no way he can say it was hatred, because my friend that was fighting with him is white, has no Hawaiian in him.
Now, all of the suspects who were arrested were released pending further investigation, so they have not yet been charged in this case. Honolulu police are also investigating a stabbing. It happened at a home on Kapiolani Boulevard just before 11 o'clock last night. Police say 2 men got into an argument and 1 man allegedly stabbed the other. Paramedics took the victim to the hospital in serious condition, and the suspect, 42-year-old Christopher Riley, was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. He has not been charged yet. On Maui, a man died after being shot while hunting. Police say the man had been with his family on Haleakala Ranch property in Kihei when the accident happened. 62-year-old Theodore Cabos Jr. of Kula was shot in the head. Police do not suspect foul play. Well, someone stole 2 surfboards overnight, and they weren't just any old surfboards. They were special ones used by people with disabilities, including wounded warriors. Kirk Matthews reports.
Kara Troy is one of the people running Access Surf. Their mission is simple: to find a way for those with disabilities or wounded warriors to enjoy the ocean. The boards are specially equipped.
And so we had 2 Access Surf adaptive surfboards locked on this truck. And they stole them last night.
Access Surf has been conducting its programs for several years. The project has gained international attention. The stolen boards are virtually useless to anyone else. The nonprofit agency would like to have the boards returned, no questions asked.
We have 2 programs that we run every month, and one is for the general public, for anybody with a physical or cognitive disability, and as well as our Wounded Warrior program.
Kara believes the thieves may not have realized what they were taking when they stole the boards.
We have other boards, but not one like this, and we don't have a replacement for it. We use those boards to take families with disabilities surfing, and that's all we want to be able to keep doing.
Kirk Matthews, KHON2 News.
Well, a massive winter storm is hitting the middle of the country with a mix of rain, hail, and sleet barreling into parts of Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico. 8 deaths are being blamed on the system. Hundreds of flights have been canceled, and roads are a huge mess. Janice Bean reports.
It's still officially fall, but don't tell that to the folks in the Southwest. A huge winter storm making its way east, hitting parts of California, New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma. Heavy snow, rain, hail, and wind all combining to make life miserable for pre-Thanksgiving travelers.
We're advising everyone to keep your distance from the car that's in front of you.
In Dallas, Ice Force Level 1 declared on Sunday. The city sending out sanding trucks and increasing patrols to make the roads as safe as possible. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport canceling over 300 flights, with more expected to come. Dallas residents doing their best to prepare for the deep freeze.
We were picking up some extra groceries, even though we went yesterday grocery shopping, but just some essentials just in case it gets too cold or icy.
I'll probably be staying inside and just hoping that somebody turns the heater back on outside.
Nearly a foot of snow falling in parts of Oklahoma. A winter weather advisory in effect for most of that state through Monday morning. But the winter storm isn't making everyone miserable. The high mountains of California don't usually get this much snow this early in the season. And there were plenty of people out to enjoy it.
It's a pretty good weather because usually it's not, since we're in the high deserts, you know, it only happens a little often, but it's pretty cool and you have a lot of fun.
The snow expected to turn to rain as it pushes across the southeast, and then a coastal storm on Wednesday, just in time for the busiest travel day of the year. In New York, Janice Dean, Fox News.
Trini Kalpwicki has been keeping an eye on the situation and joins us now from the Forecast Center with an update. Hey, Trini.
Hey, Marissa, this winter storm arrived just in time for peak Thanksgiving travel. The deadly storm that brought a wintry mess of snow, sleet, and rain to much of the western U.S. over the weekend is heading eastward. Tomorrow, we'll see more wintry weather in the south, but it looks like severe weather will spread north into much of the mid-Atlantic by early Tuesday afternoon and could reach as far north as New York City by Tuesday evening. Temperatures will be chilly with highs mostly in the 30s. Here at home, trades are blowing mostly in the 10 to 15 mile per hour range right now. Enjoy the trades, folks. Light southeasterly winds and hazy conditions are expected this week. I'll tell you when a little bit later in weather. Marissa, back to you.
Thank you, Trini. After the Titans-Raiders game tonight, a woman jumped off the third deck of the Oakland Coliseum, injuring not only herself, but also the man on the level below who was trying to catch her. Officials say the woman plunged about 45 feet from an area that's actually closed off to the public. The woman is in critical condition and the man in stable condition. The Raiders lost 23-19 in the final seconds of the game. Our country's relationship with its biggest ally in the Middle East is now on rocky ground. The problems Israel has with the Iranian nuclear deal, plus the special nature of today's Mass at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican. Welcome back. An unusual Mass at St. Peter's Square today. The Vatican unveiled what's believed to be bone fragments belonging to the first Pope, St. Peter. The bones were discovered on an archaeological dig in 1939. Pope Paul VI declared their authenticity in 1968, but no DNA tests were done. Vatican analysts say believing whether they're the true remains of St. Peter comes down to faith more than anything else. While many in the West, including the Obama administration, are praising the nuclear deal with Iran, leaders in Israel are outraged. They're accusing the United States of abandoning one of its closest allies. Leland Vittert explains why.
There are some serious words and emotions flying around here in Jerusalem. Betrayal, abandonment. The Israeli foreign minister has said if the United States is going to make a deal like this, Israel might need to start looking for some new allies. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has really made the Iranian nuclear program the signature issue of about the past 10 years of his political career and is clearly very angry about the potential of a deal that many here in Israel feels put Iran on the way to a nuclear bomb. After today's cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Netanyahu did not pull any punches.
Israel is not bound by this agreement. We cannot and will not allow a regime that calls for the destruction of Israel to obtain the means to achieve this goal.
That is a thinly veiled threat of the possibility of an Israeli strike on Iran's nuclear program, which would be both militarily difficult, right at the edge of the Israeli Air Force's tactical ability, also diplomatically very difficult for the Jewish state. But Israel clearly wants all of Iran's nuclear program dismantled. That means no more centrifuges, and also, of course, it means giving up the uranium they have already enriched. It'd be best described like this. For Israel's red line is Iran's ability to make a nuclear weapon. For the United States, it appears their red line is simply Iran having a nuclear weapon. It used to be that these two allies certainly resolved their differences when there were any, very privately. This, however, very different worldview between President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu is beginning to shake that very special and, of course, very tight U.S.-Israel relationship. In Jerusalem, Leland Vittert, Fox News.
Here at home, lots of people turned out to the auction yesterday where hundreds of items were up for bid, items that used to be owned by billionaire Genshiro Kawamoto. And the auction was apparently a big success. All items were sold by dusk. They had almost 800 items for sale. The people who put on the auction won't say how much money was collected, but they did say that one buyer spent $114,000. The most expensive item, a lion statue that went for $7,500. There were 660 registered bidders. Well, another batch of Christmas trees has arrived from the mainland. Agriculture inspectors for Hawaii and Oregon met at the Sand Island Matson Yard to have a look at the trees. They did find some small beetles and centipedes in a couple of the trees, but overall, Hawaii agriculture inspectors say any quarantine will be far less than the 50% they had last year, and inspectors from both states said the cooperative effort is really helpful on both sides of the Pacific.
It's very important for both of us in that they're giving us something that doesn't have any pests. And it's good for their industry and it's good for our environment. You know, we don't get anything that could be potentially bad for Hawaii.
Well, Oregon is the #1 Christmas tree producer and exporter in the country by far. So this is a big industry for us, for Oregon.
While the drop in pests is a good thing, budget cuts in the Agriculture Department have not made it any easier for inspectors to find them.
Plant quarantine is pretty, we deal with a lot of things. So basically we deal with domestic importation, plants, non-domestic animals, microorganisms, and you know, it's all port of entry stuff, so everything that comes in got to be inspected. So all the fruit, all the vegetables, all your pets, you know, a lot of this stuff is inspected and there's just not enough people to do it.
Now, Ho is convinced that the Agriculture Department will be asking for more inspectors when the legislature convenes in January. A look at the road work that could affect you this week, that's just ahead. Plus, what had Star Wars fans turning out in force at certain locations this weekend? All right, we have several traffic alerts for you now, starting off in Pearl City. Here's a live look now at the H1 freeway. The 3 left lanes in the westbound direction are closed from the Pearl City off-ramp to the Waiava overpass. It's for restriping work. All lanes will be back open at 4:30 tomorrow morning. You can take Kamehameha Highway or Moanalua Road instead if you want to avoid this area. Meanwhile, in town, 2 lanes are closed in each direction of the freeway from Like Highway to the Ward Avenue overpass, but no ramps are closed. It's for the H1 rehab project. The lanes will reopen at 4 o'clock tomorrow morning. And the 2 center lanes of Ward Avenue are closed between Kina'u Street and Kapiolani Boulevard. Crews are restriping the road. It's one of the final steps of the Board of Water Supplies project. The lanes will reopen at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and they'll do the same thing again tomorrow night. A report on the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School is set to be released tomorrow morning. Connecticut officials say it'll detail findings from the nearly year-long investigation. A state's attorney spokesman says family members of the victims have been informed of the report. Last December, authorities say 20-year-old Adam Lanza killed his mother at their home in Newtown before opening fire at Sandy Hook. Lanza killed 26 people at the school, 20 of them children, before turning a gun on himself. As for what's happening around the rest of the country this week, Marianne Rafferty takes a look.
Monday, Chris Brown is facing a maximum of 6 months in jail for a misdemeanor simple assault charge. It all stems from an October altercation in which Brown and his bodyguard allegedly punched a man in the nose in front of the W Hotel in Washington, D.C. The Grammy winner is still on probation from his 2009 attack on Rihanna. Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, is expected to be one of the busiest travel days of the year. AAA predicting over 43 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles from home. Also on Wednesday, it's time to light the menorah and spin those dreidels for the first night of Hanukkah. The Festival of Lights runs through December 5th. And Friday is Black Friday, the unofficial start to the holiday shopping season, as consumers will try and get their hands on deals. Shoppers are expecting massive savings on everything from electronics to kitchen appliances. And that's a look at the week ahead. I'm Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
And she skipped over Thursday, as if you didn't need a reminder. Thanksgiving is, of course, on Thursday. Well, thousands of actors and actresses turned out for auditions in London and Nashville this weekend for an open casting call in the upcoming Star Wars Episode 7. Producers were looking to cast two, quote, major roles. Aside from the names Rachel and Thomas, not much else is being said about the characters or how they fit into the Star Wars universe. They were looking for young adults able to play between 17 and 18 for Rachel and 19 to 23 for Thomas. Star Wars Episode 7 is scheduled to hit theaters in about 2 years. And while the new Star Wars film will be expected to set box office records, it may have to compete with this weekend's champ. The Hunger Games: Catching Fire took a little more than $161 million this weekend, setting a record for the largest November opening ever for a movie. The second installment of the Hunger Games franchise knocked Thor to a distant second place with just over $14 million. Best Man Holiday, Delivery Man, and Freebirds round out the top 5.
I saw Catching Fire.
Oh, you did? Wow, you saw it already.
This morning. Oh,
you saw it this morning before coming into work.
Yes, they had a 10 o'clock at Call 'em All.
Did you take your kids or did
No, I went with my 2 girlfriends. We all read the books and are huge fans, and it was really good.
Oh, I'm sure. Did you recognize the parts from Hawaii? Because it was filmed partly in Hawaii?
No, you know, a lot of it could have been here, so I couldn't pinpoint, you know. Hawaii can really kind of mask a lot of those areas, but I highly recommend it. It was 2.5 hours long, goes by like that.
Wow.
And it really leaves you wanting more.
All right, I will see it.
Yes, you have to. Weather-wise, beautiful day today. Here are some of the current conditions being reported across the state. You can see looking very nice right now. Most areas reporting fair to partly cloudy skies.
Now with Hawaii's forecast, Trini Kaupuiki.
Good evening. Hope you all had a great weekend. Over the next 24 hours, we're going to continue to see more dry conditions. Our atmosphere is stable, so we're really not seeing much in the way of moisture right now. Overnight lows will once again be on the cool side in the mid-60s to lower 70s. And tomorrow, it's going to be beautiful, similar to what we saw today with lots of sunshine and the trade winds blowing. High pressure north of the state is the system responsible for generating those trade winds. Now, unfortunately, this system will continue moving off to the east, and that's going to cause our winds to weaken and blow from a more southeasterly direction. Those southeasterly winds will start by Wednesday, and unfortunately, those southeasterly winds will spread fog from Hawaii Island up over the smaller islands. So we are expecting hazy skies Wednesday and Thursday, and you know Thursday is Thanksgiving, so you may want to stay indoors, enjoy football, enjoy being together with your family and friends, because it is expected to be quite hazy outside. Here's a look at our radar map. You can see just a few light sprinkles moving in with the trade wind flow over the last 12 hours. Most of the showers affecting windward and Mauka areas on both Maui and Hawaii Island. Now here's a look at our surf forecast for tomorrow. Similar to what we saw today, North Shores will top our wave height list with 5 to 7 foot faces. West side coming in at 2 to 4. South Shores 2 feet or less. We are expecting a new bump out of the northwest tomorrow, and it's expected to peak on Tuesday. An even larger one is expected to roll in by Friday. We may have a high surf warning posted for the north and west shores. Here's a look at your forecast for tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, trades blowing in the 10 to 20 mile per hour range. Highs will be in the upper 70s to lower 80s. Today it did warm up to 83 in Honolulu. Looking ahead, gobble gobble, Thursday is Thanksgiving Day. Unfortunately, it will be a bit hazy. When our winds are light, we typically see a buildup of clouds and showers in the afternoon hours. So that's what we're going to see Wednesday and Thursday. And on Friday, it's possible that we'll see an increase in clouds and showers as a cold front moves down the island chain. So pretty dry for the next couple of days, and then we'll see possibly heavy showers by Aloha Friday.
The stores will love that because it'll drive people indoors, right?
Friday is Black Friday, so you're right.
As if we
Go
need
to
a
the mall.
reason, right?
I know.
Yes. All right, thank you so much, Trini. Well, the headliner in Week 12 in the NFL lives up to the hype. Rob DeMello is coming up next. How Isaac Sopoanga and the Patriots try to do something nobody has ever done against Peyton Manning. Plus, after another heartbreaking overtime loss, the winless Rainbow Warriors return home. What went behind a controversial play call in OT and how the team's holding up heading into its final week of the season. Sports is next.
With KHON2 Sports, Rob DeMello.
After 10 seasons leading the Surf Riders, Gary Rizalowicz has resigned as head coach of the Kailua High School football team. Having gone 2-7 in 2013, Blue and White finished 5th in the OIA Red East Division. Over his decade-long run at Kailua, he went 33-57-1, advancing out of the league playoffs first round 4 times. No word as of yet on his replacement. How's it going, everybody? The University of Hawaii football team's biggest fear now standing right in front of their face as UH will enter Saturday's season finale at 0-11, trying to avoid the school's second winless campaign in 16 seasons. Yesterday in Laramie, a devastating 59-56 overtime defeat at the hands of Wyoming, where despite putting together its most explosive game of the season on offense, defense couldn't corral the Cowboys. Hawaii quarterback Sean Schroeder with a career-high 499 yards passing with 6 touchdowns, but the brown and gold even more gaudy, hanging a UH opponent record of 793 yards of total offense, while the Wyoming defense came up when they needed to, stopping Hawaii in overtime on a 4th and 1, Hawaii's 6th straight Joey Iosefa run up the middle, keeping UH off the board in extra play and setting up Wyoming's game-winning field goal for the 2nd straight week overtime loss for UH. And according to head coach Norm Chow, he stands by his decision to roll the dice in the extra frame.
I would have done a disservice to our young people if we went for a field goal. The way we were, the way the game was going, we wanted to win a football game. We didn't go all that way to tie a football game or to get in overtime. We were trying to win it, and I owed it to our players, and I'd make it over again. No questions asked. They wanted to go for it. We wanted to go for it. We were trying to win the football game.
Frustrating, but, you just got to keep working hard, and that's all you can do is keep fighting and keep working hard. So that's what we've continued to do, and that's what we're going to do this last game. I think we're all in for this last one. We know we got to get done. We have been in close in a lot of games, and it's about time we put it all together and get a win. So I think that's the main focus everybody's thinking about right now, and heading into the last week of the season. I think everybody's all vested in this thing together. So that's what we're trying to do.
At 0-11, Bows are one of 5 teams in the FBS without a victory. Only 3 teams over the last 40 years have had multiple winless campaigns. UH trying to avoid joining Fred Von Oppen's 1998 squad. Season finale set for Saturday against 3-7 Army. Rainbow Warriors 6.5-point favorites. Elsewhere in college ball, huge accomplishment for former UH running back Dino Babers. In his 2nd year as head coach at Eastern Illinois, the former Arizona and Texas A&M offensive coordinator led the Panthers to an opening round bye in the FCS playoffs. Ohio Valley Conference champs will host the winner of next week's Tennessee State and Butler game. EIU is 11-1 with their lone loss coming to Northern Illinois 43-39. Huskies are undefeated and ranked 14th in the BCS. To the National Football League now, where a crazy one took place on Sunday night as the Patriots rallied from a 24-0 halftime deficit to beat the Broncos in Foxborough, marking it the biggest comeback in franchise history. Tom Brady, good for 344 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Steven Gostkowski drove the 31-yard game winner in overtime. 34-31 the final in the win. Former Warrior Isaako Sopoanga had 1 tackle. Peyton Manning now 50-1 in his career when holding a lead of 20 points or more. Elsewhere in the AFC, Laie native Punahou grad and rookie linebacker Manti Te'o and his Chargers pulled off an epic upset over the Chiefs in Kansas City today. Reigning Heisman Trophy runner-up with 3 tackles on the day as the Bolts did just enough to squeak by their AFC West rivals. San Diego quarterback Phillip Rivers had a 26-yard game-winning touchdown with 58 seconds remaining. 41-38 the final. KC now 9-2. Chargers are 5-6. Now also at 5-6, the Jets fighting to keep pace for the final playoff spot in the AFC. New York fell to the defending Super Bowl champion Ravens today. In the loss, though, former UH All-American Greg Salas, for the second time in 3 games, led New York in receiving, posting 2 catches for 48 yards. 19-3 the final. Both teams are 5-6 for all your NFL scores. Make your next stop KHON2.com. And the first jewel in the 2013 Triple Crown of Surfing was captured today in Haleiwa, where Tahiti's Michelle Perez claimed the Reef Hawaiian Pro title at Ali'i Beach. 27-year-old who won the Reef back in 2008 takes the early lead in the Crown's point race. Haleiwa's own Fred Patachia placed second. Next stop, the World Cup of Surfing at Sunset Beach. Window opens tomorrow and runs through December 6th. There you go.
Can you believe it, when we come back next weekend, Thanksgiving will have happened, Black Friday will have happened. Well,
and I'll have a lot less money than I do today.
I know, when you have kids, huh, especially.
Yes.
Yes. All right, well, that wraps it up for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Good night.
Take care.
Good night.